Introduction. The wisdom of nature. At a time when so much has been learned about nature, when the condition of man is so full of seeming paradoxes, it is not surprising to find that many whose profession has been in the natural sciences are now addressing themselves to questions about man. Nor is it surprising that they do so in a way that reflects their background as well as their method of thought. It is difficult, in such circumstances, for scientists to keep their minds on the subject matter of science alone. The problems of man affect the conditions in which scientists work as well as the events of personal, social, and political life. Therefore, the interests of science and of many scientists are now not so far removed from the human context as when it was possible to be dedicated to the workings of introduction. If they were separable from the world of man, the point to be made is that the human condition, altered by the evolution of science and scientists, has in turn so affected both that, perforce, their attention must turn increasingly to questions of general human concern. Although science and the technology derived from it are seen by some as the cause of man's current malaise, they may also be seen as an effect of a deeper cause. That is, the process of evolution itself, capable of being used to produce remedies not only through the application of technologic advances but by providing man with a way of seeing himself from the viewpoint of the wisdom of nature. In this way, wisdom in man, which may be thought of as the natural understanding of essence, process, and relationship in life, human and non-human, might be augmented by the contributions of science to man's knowledge of himself, as well as of the universe around him, which may be thought of as another effect of the development of science, different from that of technology. Importance is attached to the notion that wisdom is of practical value for human survival and for the maintenance and enhancement of the quality of life. The hypothesis proposed and elaborated in this book is that man can learn wisdom from nature. At times man appears to react wisely when he senses too much or too little, even without knowing precisely to what he is reacting. We should pay heed to this phenomenon and try to understand it scientifically. I am convinced that, although we cannot predict the future with understanding, man can, to a considerable degree, influence the course of coming events in his favor. This is based upon the evidence that a new transformation is occurring. 11. Ring in the circumstances of human life new in the history of man and of the planet to suggest that man's past performance should not be taken as the only basis for judging his future. Because of the inevitability of the evolutionary process, the present must be viewed from a perspective of the future, as well as of the past from the past. We can learn in part how to and how not to conduct ourselves, and from imagining some of the elements which are likely to combine in shaping the future, we might learn how to behave not merely in terms of the past but in consideration of the effect of alternatives from which we might choose, based upon our knowledge of the way, or the wisdom, of nature. For almost 2 decades I have accumulated reflections and written papers or essays discussing such matters from this viewpoint. Thoughts which arose as a result of my own experiences in medicine and biology. Some have been put together in a first book entitled Man Unfolding. The present book grew out of an idea that occurred to me in the spring of 1969 while preparing the Robert Kennedy Duncan Memorial Lecture to be delivered at the Mellon Institute of Carnegie Mellon University on the value of science for man. A title that came to mind, half seriously, was Narcissism and Responsibility in Science and in Man. In the struggle to convert this into a lecture, a flood of ideas poured forth, more easily expressed in diagrams than in prose. The lecture itself was finally delivered with the aid of lantern slides to convey, visually, in symbols, shapes and relationships of words, what could not be communicated by speech alone. The lecture, in effect, was seen as well as heard. My purpose was to search for a natural explanation for the inversion in values occurring in our time. The ideas of ODUCTION, XLL, VERD herein are an initial contribution to such an understanding, which hopefully will influence the movement of society toward improving the quality of life as well as survival. October 1972. San Diego, California.